The home office door was cracked open when Bridget pushed it the rest of the way. Claire's laugh cut off mid-sound. Jiho's hand was still on her waist when he turned around. Nobody moved for 3 full seconds. "Bridget, don't." She didn't raise her voice. She set her bag down on the chair by the door, slow, deliberate, like she needed her hands to have something to do besides shake. "How long?" "It's not what you think." "How long, Jiho?" Claire stepped back from him, arms crossing over her chest, eyes on the floor. That was answer enough. 8 months, Jiho said. "It just happened." Nothing happens for 8 months by accident. The room was quiet except for the hum of the office lights. Bridget looked at the woman who had held her hand at both of her sons' births, who had sat up with her through 2 a.m. feedings when the boys were newborns, the same woman she considered a strong support system. "Get out of my house," Bridget said. Her voice was flat, controlled. "Both of you. It's my house too." "Not anymore." He tried to argue. She didn't listen to a word of it. By the time he came home that night to collect his things, the locks were already changed, and Bridget was sitting at the kitchen table with both boys asleep upstairs and a checkbook open in front of her, doing math she'd never had to do alone before. The accounts were nearly empty. He'd been moving money for months. She just hadn't been looking. Jiho stood in the doorway with 2 suitcases and nothing left to say that would matter. Bridget didn't get up. "You're really doing this?" he said. "You did this. I'm just the one who noticed." The door closed behind him. It didn't slam. It just clicked shut the way small, permanent things do. She sat there a long time after he left, staring at numbers that didn't add up to a future she recognized. Then she stood up, went upstairs and checked on her sons. Noah curled on his side, 7 years old, one arm hanging off the mattress. Marcus, barely 3, thumb in his mouth, unaware that the world he knew before had just ended. Bridget sat on the edge of Noah's bed for a long time that night. She didn't cry. She'd promised herself, walking up those stairs, that she wasn't going to be the kind of mother who fell apart where her children could see it. The next morning, she called in to work and asked about picking up a second shift. Things got worse by the day. She had to move into a basement apartment 6 weeks later, 1 window, barely any light, rent she could still barely cover. Bridget taught English by day, altered clothes, and pulled diner shifts by night, coming home too tired to do anything but check homework before she collapsed. The first child support check came 2 months late. The second didn't come at all. Bridget stopped checking the mailbox for it after a while, easier than the disappointment. She never mentioned it to the boys. She just picked up another shift. Noah understood in the vague way a kid understands weather. He noticed his mother was always tired. He started doing things without being asked. Packing his own lunch, walking Marcus to the corner so their mom could sleep an extra 20 minutes. One night she came home and found him at the kitchen table doing math problems by the light of his phone because she hadn't paid the electric bill on time. He stopped asking for new shoes after she bought him a pair she couldn't afford. He noticed. He never mentioned wanting anything again. A mutual friend from the old neighborhood ran into Bridget outside the grocery store that winter and mentioned carefully, like she wasn't sure she should, that Jiho had moved twice in a year, that things weren't going well for him. Bridget just nodded and said she hoped he figured it out. She didn't slow down on her way to the bus stop to hear more. Noah played basketball at the nearby recreation center every day until dark. He got so good that middle school coaches noticed him. By high school, coaches traveled from other states to see him play. She went to every single game to support him. "You never miss it," he told her once. "That's the point," she said. Noah promised himself, silently, that he would work very hard to take his mama out of the neighborhood, where she would never have to work a double shift again. A birthday card showed up the spring Noah turned 14. No return address, Jiho's handwriting on the front, Nothing inside but a $20 bill and his name signed with no note. Noah looked at it a long moment, then put it in a shoebox in his closet without telling his mother. He didn't spend the 20, he didn't say why. During his junior year, Noah accepted a full basketball scholarship to a top-tier college. Afterward, Bridget cried alone in her car. She felt an overwhelming sense of relief that his future was secure, but it felt so heavy and exhausting that it looked like sadness, and she didn't want him to misunderstand her tears. After 4 seasons starting for his college team, his name got called in the draft. Bridget stood up in the crowd before the commissioner even finished saying it. Both hands pressed over her mouth, Marcus grabbing her arm so she wouldn't fall over. Noah found her in the chaos afterward, wrapped both arms around her, and said the only thing that felt big enough for the moment, "Mama, we made it." She shook her head against his shoulder. "This is all you, baby." "No," he said. "It's ours." The first text came through Noah's agent, not to Noah directly. A family friend reaching out, the message said, asking if Noah might be open to reconnecting with his father. Noah showed it to his mother without a word, just handed her the phone and watched her face while she read it. "What do you want to do?" she asked, handing it back. "I don't know yet." That's fair. She didn't tell him what to do, but she noticed, over the following weeks, how often his phone stayed face down on the counter and how long he sat with it before answering anything. Jiho didn't stop at one message. A second came, then a call that went to voicemail, then finally, after Noah's basketball rookie season ended with a shoe deal and a profile piece in a sports magazine, Jiho showed up. His fist hit the door 3 times, hard and fast, no hesitation. The porch light snapped on. The door swung open before he could knock a 4th time. "You have less than 30 seconds, starting now, to tell me the reason you are here. I need to see Noah." Bridget didn't move from the doorway. Behind her, footsteps pounded down the stairs 2 at a time. Noah stopped on the 3rd step, one hand gripping the rail, chest still rising from the sprint down. "Mom? Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Jiho's eyes went past her, up to the sun. "Noah, look at you. Don't." Jiho flinched, took a step forward anyway, onto the porch toward the threshold. "That's far enough." Jiho stopped mid-stride, one foot still hovering off the ground. "I'm not here for money." "I didn't say you were here for money. You just made me think about it, though." Marcus appeared in the hallway light behind Noah, said nothing, watched his father's hands, which wouldn't stop moving from his jacket to his pocket. "Bridget, please. I know what I did." "Then why are your feet still on my porch?" "Because he's my son." "Where were you when he was in a basement apartment with no electricity?" "You weren't in a hurry then." Jiho opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Noah's hand came up and rested on the doorframe. Not a shove. Not a threat. Just enough weight to close the gap Jiho was about to walk through. "Before you ask me to let you back into our lives, remember something. You already had a family. I guess we weren't enough." "Bridget." She shut the door. She didn't slam it. She was just done. Inside, Bridget's hands folded at her waist. Steady. Noah watched them. "You okay?" "I've been through worse than him these past years." "I'm fine, son." Jiho sat in his car outside for a long time after the door closed, engine off, hands on the wheel. He called Claire before he pulled away. "That went well," she said when he told her. "It didn't go anywhere. It went exactly where it needed to. You made contact. Now Noah knows you tried. You just have to make sure he sees the version of you that's worth reconnecting with." Jiho looked back at the house, light still on in the front window. "And what version is that?" "The one who never stopped believing in him. The one the cameras will love when it's time." Claire's voice had the ease of someone who'd already thought several steps ahead. "You let her keep being the bitter one. You will be the father who never gave up hope. Trust me, I have it all figured out. It became a pattern after that. Nothing aggressive. Jiho knew better than to push again the way he had that first night. Instead, they focused on the small things. Dropping a comment to a reporter about being proud from a distance. A story that surfaced, sourced to those close to the family. About how hard it had been for Jiho to watch his son's success from the outside. Claire helped him rehearse the language. Sacrifice was a word they used often now in front of the cameras when they staged their little charade. Claire making sure Jiho gave the impression of maternal gatekeeping anytime a camera was in front of them. Claire wasn't satisfied with just press and photo ops. She wanted something with real weight behind it. So she had a lawyer draw up a lawsuit. Jiho would sue for a share of Noah's rookie money, claiming he'd secretly been supporting the family all those years. To back it up, they put together fake bank records and a forged signature, making it look like Bridget had agreed to it. Bridget got served the papers at her kitchen table. She read them once, said nothing, and didn't call anyone back for a week. Bridget saw the articles. She didn't respond to any of them. "You're not going to say anything?" Noah asked her after the third one. "Not yet. Mom. He's out here rewriting what happened." "I know, baby. So why do you sound calm?" Bridget looked out from the kitchen window toward the yard where Noah used to practice free throws in the dark because the porch light was the only one they could afford to leave on. "Because I've known this was coming for a year," she said. "And I've been ready for it for longer than that." Jiho believed the lawsuit had rattled her. Claire believed it too. "She hasn't said a word publicly," Claire told him over the phone, the satisfaction clear in her voice. "She's scared. She stopped responding to my lawyer's calls because there's nothing to say. You have the paper trail. She doesn't." They planned it for the night of the league's MVP ceremony. The night Noah was expected to win. Jiho would attend, positioned where the cameras would find him, and use the moment his son took the stage to remind the world who had believed in him first. "Tomorrow, everyone will see that you're still his father," Claire said. "And Bridget will finally understand that she can't fight me. You have a right to everything Noah is achieving because being the father is enough," she added. They were both wrong. The ceremony was exactly as bright and loud as these things always were. Cameras, gold light, a room full of people in their best clothes clapping for things that mattered and things that didn't. Jiho sat 2 rows back from the stage, in a seat his lawyer had arranged, watching for his moment. When Noah's name was called as the MVP for the basketball season, the room rose to its feet. He walked to the stage with the trophy waiting for him, and for a moment it looked, from Jiho's angle, exactly like the moment he'd planned for. Then Noah spoke. "I want to thank my mother," he said, and the room quieted. Then he continued, "Not for tonight, for every night before it that nobody was filming. For working multiple jobs so I could eat before I could shoot. For never missing a game, even the ones in gyms that smelled like mildew and had 6 people in the stands." He paused, found her in the crowd. "There's someone here tonight who's been telling reporters he sacrificed for this. I want to be clear about something on the record right now." A screen behind him lit up. Financial records, an account application, and a signature side by side with the real one, and the forged one his father had used. "This is a forged authorization. It routed money out of accounts under my mother's name during my rookie year, without her knowledge. My legal team has already turned this over to the league and the appropriate authorities." The room had gone fully silent. Jiho stood halfway out of his seat, then sat back down as every camera in the room found him at once. Claire, 3 seats over, did not move at all. The lawsuit collapsed within the week, Jiho's own claim now buried under fraud allegations far more serious than anything he'd filed. His accounts were frozen pending investigation. The company he'd built his second act around quietly distanced itself, then dissolved his position entirely. Claire called Bridget once, days later. I didn't know how far he'd taken it, she said. I want you to know that. You knew enough. Bridget, please. We were friends once. We were, Bridget said. That's a memory now, not a favor I owe you. She hung up before Claire could say anything else. Ji-ho, having lost everything, came back one more time weeks after that. Thinner, quieter. The confidence that used to fill every room he entered gone from his voice entirely. Bridget opened the door because Noah told her he wanted her to hear whatever it was one last time. So there'd be no version of the story where she hadn't given him the chance. I don't have anything left to offer. I'm alone and homeless. And Claire left me the very day my position was dissolved. Ji-ho said. Well, I hope you figure it out. You made your bed. I hope you lie comfortably on it, Bridget said. He didn't argue. There was nothing left in him to argue with. Do not come back here asking me to rebuild the family you chose to destroy, she said, in a very calm but serious tone. She closed the door, not angrily, not dramatically, just finally. She had just closed the door to Ji-ho for the last time. 3 months later, morning sunlight filled the family's new home. Noah sat on the sofa reviewing game footage, Marcus beside him watching the highlights. Bridget walked in carrying a framed photograph, an old picture from the basement apartment. Noah in taped-up sneakers, Marcus asleep on the couch behind him, Bridget still in her work clothes in the corner of the frame, caught mid-laugh at something no one could remember anymore. She placed it beside Noah's MVP trophy. Noah stood and wrapped an arm around his mother. It's finally over, Mom. She looked at the photograph, then at her sons. No, she said, a small smile appearing. The struggle is over. Our life is just beginning. Noah's arms stayed around her a moment longer. He felt her hands where they rested against his back. Not folded, not fighting to be still. They weren't shaking. They weren't even trying to be steady anymore. They just were. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and drop a comment on the channel to encourage us to keep bringing you quality stories like this. See you in the next story.